It's hard to predict something so unpredictable, but just what is the best advice for schools next term in the shadow of swine flu? The DCSF says expect to stay open, but also have an emergency plan for closure. That's because the government's been advised that shutting schools does not appear to work in containing the virus.
The medical and scientific advice at the moment is that schools shouldn't close because the swine flu is actually out in the community. So closing the schools, unless there's very specific circumstances locally, isn't going to help.
But two scientists from Imperial College have published a paper in The Lancet saying that a French study showed closing schools at the height of an outbreak could reduce cases by up to 45%.
Schools closed for the summer in England and Wales last weekend, and interestingly they closed a few weeks earlier in Scotland, and we saw a decline or a tailing off of the growth of the epidemic in Scotland at the time they closed.
Yet the chief medical officer argues shutting schools and handing out Tamiflu when there was an outbreak in the West Midlands did little to contain the virus and would be extremely disruptive. We went to one of the worst affected schools during the outbreak in Birmingham, Walford Primary, where 44 pupils were infected. Speaking in June, head Chris Smith gave his advice to schools whose pupils may also catch the virus.
Stay calm. It's not the end of the world, it's not Armageddon, it's a flu virus.
The Department of Health says that the under 5s and the 5 to 14-year-olds are the age groups predominantly affected by the flu and are currently expecting cases to peak in early September, the beginning of the new term. If schools are told to close in autumn, local authorities have a duty to provide an education, but teachers are to go to school to set and mark work unless they're ill themselves. School Secretary Ed Balls says he's monitoring the situation closely and will review evidence in late August.